So for our exercise today, you're going to set up a Mondrian layout for a flyer. And I call it a multi-purpose flyer because you can use this flyer over and over again. All you got to do is swap out the information. You will need to download a zip file. All the information is going to be inside this folder. And it's going to be a flyer for a new house. They're trying to sell it. So I'm giving you pictures of a bathroom, outside, inside pictures. There's the realtor, a map, a Google map is often used, and also the text that's going to go on this page. Everything I've got is going to have a specific area I want you to place it in, but the styling of it, I'm going to leave it up to you as far as how it should look. By the end, here's the one that I did ahead of time. So this is what we're using. Do you see the Mondrian layout style? Mm-hmm. So obviously up here would be the header. How would you style things to be used for the header? This middle portion, this is going to be where your pictures are. If I give you 5 or 6 pictures, how do you arrange those so that they can fit within this area? Well, I leave that up to you. Down at the bottom, how would you arrange things so that it reads well, all the different information? Do you kind of see the hierarchy in this layout? Mm-hmm. So what's obviously the Papa Bear? For sale, the address. It's the the most important thing. Should be up there. What would be Mama Bear?
The information.
Well, specifically.
Pictures? I mean the house.
Well, keeping with the type. If the text, what would be the Mama Bear text?
The
The blue
blue text.
text, the number and the specifics, and everything else. This would be the last thing that you would read, right? So these are just very quickly, the most important thing you need to know is that it's for sale, and here's the date. Here's the quick read off for this one. Here's the rest of the information. So this is how we're going to set this up. I'll let y'all watch with me. Hopefully I gave you all the right information. Haven't done this in a while. So we're going to set it up. I do say to do 2 pages. I should have said just 1 page. So right off the bat, the first thing to do is just make a new document. We're going to keep it at 1 pages, and we're not going to worry about facing text. The size of it is going to be a regular 8.5 by 11, but we're going to divide it up into columns. So the columns are going to be the first thing that'll give you a grid-like structure. If you've ever read a newspaper, newspapers are of course divided into columns. And you can type that number in right here. So 5 columns. We want to give it a 0 gutter and 1/2 inch margins on all sides. All of this looks good. We'll say OK. So here's our first step at our page layout. The columns are often probably the most used way of dividing a page up. And so here you can see it's divided into 5 columns. There's no space in between them. The space is called the gutter. And so that's kind of kept as at a minimum right there. All right, so in the second step, we're going to be editing a master page. Do you remember what the master page is and what it does for you? What does it do?
It's kind of like the first side's blank, like, and then the second side is.
It controls like the entire document.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if I wanted all of my pages to look exactly the same, I can change the master page and all the pages will change as well. So what I'm wanting to do is, especially if I wanted to create several pages, I'm just going to edit my master page. And you can see I've got them side by side, so it's actually in facing pages. It's like a book laid out, so left page and right page. So any layout that I create, I need to make sure that I do it on both pages. And all we're going to do is just copy and paste it. But in our master page, I'm going to open my rulers and drag down 2 horizontal guides. So I need one right at 2.5 inches. So there it is right there. And I need another one at 6 inches. Right there. Alright, so now I've divided it into a top, a middle, and a bottom portion. I'm going to do the same thing on this page as well. So 2.5 and also 6. Right there. So when I double click on my page 1, you can see automatically it adds those guides to page 1 as well. If I was to add on more pages by clicking on the create new, you can see even the new pages that I create have the guides inside of them as well. That's the beauty of working with a master page when creating that. All good? Okay, we'll continue on. We're on page 1, so part 3. In the middle section, add all of the appropriate images to the flyer. So this is where you're going to use the Mondrian layout to fit everything within these 5 columns, and we're going to scale them, crop them appropriately. So I've got, see how many pictures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures. There's the living room. I don't really want his on there. So I've got 5 pictures I need to fit. There we go. Stretching it out when I don't need to do that. There we go. I need to fit within this area. How would you lay it out? If I've got 5 columns, but do you really think that all the pictures would fit really well in the 5 columns?
I think you're gonna have to spread it
Over 2,
like one picture over the 2 little columns.
over 2 columns? Okay. All right, so let's just play around and see what we can do. You can see this is what I did for this one. There's 1 over multiple, there's several square ones. There's more than one answer to this. I'm going to also show you another neat little trick. I'm going to go ahead and make 5 rectangle frames. Remember, all we do with these frames are place pictures inside of them. Not really worried about the size right now. Under File, when I go to Place, there's our multi-purpose flyer. I'm going to select all of the pictures. So there's this one through this one. All of them are selected. When I hit Open, notice that they're following my cursor. So I've got like a little preview. Wherever I click, it's going to place that picture into the frame. So very quickly, I don't have to select it and go back and do place. I just select the pictures I want and place them wherever I want them to go. Pretty cool? So great little technique to know when using these. Next thing I need to do is to actually place them and start scaling them. I do want you to keep everything inside of these margins. So in other words, have the outer edges be completely white. You can see on mine how the edges are white. I want yours to be white as well, so no bleeding. No bleeding, no cutting. What's the quick way of scaling these down so that I can fit them inside of their picture box?
That thing up top.
Up top? Okay, so right here? Okay, so one of those is the easiest way. If on that one it'll fit it to the square. If I hit the first one, it'll fit the whole thing. What did you say, Gloria?
Corner, each,
Not just this corner. If I click on the little circle in the middle, then I can click on the corner. Remember, hold down Shift and do it. But yeah, clicking at the top is probably the easiest method of working with this one. Tell you what, let's move these back out of the way, and we'll work with it one at a time. And I can also bring up the size of my frame as well. So this one, if it took up 2 columns, hold down Command and Shift when I scale, and it'll scale it up. So I can fit that one. Let's see if I can fit maybe another one underneath it. So this one, fit it. Command and Shift. Now this is where some creative cropping comes in handy. If I wanted to show both of these stacked on top of each other, but I need to fit it inside of this top third area, maybe I need to bring this down a little bit and bring this one up a little bit. Of course, that's going to crop out part of it, so I need to make sure that I can nudge this up. Because what's the most important part of the bathroom in this picture? The tub. We want to show the tub, so we're not going to worry about the top of it. What would be the most important part of this living room? Yeah, the kitchen area, the dining room. So, I wouldn't want to crop it all the way down here. It's showing too much the top area, show more of this, show more of the dining room. Now I've got both of those being able to show up in there. Let's get the rest of them.
Is this a real house for sale?
Actually it is. I went to realestate.com or some home selling site and I pulled off their pictures. I could make this one span 3 columns if I wanted to really crop it. Now I really don't want to crop off too much, but now I've got more open space down here. This is kind of where you start playing around with everything to see what fits. If you don't think it's going to fit within those 2 columns, maybe that would be an option. Maybe it does need to be square. If I did something like this, and I started to scale it out, that's not going to look good. Why doesn't it look good?
I think because the buyer wants to see the whole house.
Yeah, they want to see the whole house. So maybe this is the most important one.
That would be a good advertisement for windows.
It would be,
Selling
yeah,
windows.
yeah, because you're emphasizing just the windows when you crop it that way. Good point. So, I'm just going to kind of leave this as it is for now. But you guys know how to scale things. You know how to place them inside of an area. I'm going to leave it up to you as far as the placement and the proportions of it. I tell you what, I'm going to copy over what I had done before, just so you don't have to watch me keep moving around with this. Copy it. I do paste in place. Oop. It'll paste it right there as well. One more quick tip. You notice how I've got a like a white space between everything? In order to get that even white space, all I did was, if you look in the stroke color, see if I can make it a little bit bigger. The stroke color, I just added a white stroke around the entire thing. And this way, the stroke is even once I place everything within the pictures itself. Notice here I've cropped off the entire thing. All I'm showing is the tub. All I'm showing is part of it. You as the graphic designer, and we'll leave it up to you. Okay, moving on. Part 4, use the eyedropper to choose 3 colors from the photos to add to your swatches. So this goes back to working with your color scheme. The easiest thing you can do as a graphic designer is work with the colors that are inside of a photo that's been given to you. So what colors do you see within this one? Let's go into preview mode.
In the house, on the house picture, the blue and green popped out.
Okay, so blue and green. So I'm going to hold down Option. Maybe I'll get this light blue here, light blue. Do you remember how to save it as a swatch? I've got my swatches palette pulled open. How do I save a new swatch?
You have to click on that picture after somehow, and then
Uh-huh. Yep, where's Add New Swatch? At the bottom, right here. New swatch. Now when it does this, it's going to be an RGB value. To change it over to CMYK, just double click on this icon. This is where you change your mode to RGB, or CMYK. Same thing. Let's do the same for green. So we'll pick up, let's get a lighter green. That'll work. Make a new swatch, and then convert it to CMYK, so it'll print correctly. What's another one? I've got blue, I've got green. What? Orange?
Outside that, like brick is kind of like.
Right here or right here?
Are you going from that one picture?
Any of the pictures.
Okay. Yeah, I was talking about the pattern.
Okay, so right here. All right. Let's see, that'll be good. So I've got blue, green, and orange. What color scheme? You've picked up on it. It is a color scheme.
Split complementary.
Split complementary. Perfect. So you got the complementary, but you're picking up a little bit of the blue. So there you go. That's how easy it is to stick with a color scheme within your design. All right. Part 4, the top section. I want you to create a solid color background that fills in the area. So I'm just going to use, you can use either the rectangle or the rectangle frame. I'm going to use just a regular rectangle. We'll drop that in. Let's get rid of that outline that I have. And This is going to be the header that we're going to provide with the text, and also the bottom part needs a background with it. The background, choose and use the colors that you've created. So it can be that orange, it can be a green, it can be blue. I kind of like the green. Green stands out pretty well. Let's open the text and drop in this particular page. And it's a Word document. Cool. So here's the heading. You don't have to use the word heading. Just for sale, crown point circle. The formatting, I'm going to leave up to you how you want it to look. So, but we're just going to make a text box, copy it, paste it in, change up the size of it. Here's the other information. So if you had to format this, what are some things I can do to make the header stand out? First of all, what color would you choose?
You could probably choose a white or anything, or orange.
Yeah.
A white, maybe find an outline of orange around it.
Okay, so let's look at that. Good question. So I've got it white, and you're saying put an outline around it?
Yeah, just a fine one to kind of pop it in.
Here's what that looks like. And this is more of a pet peeve of mine. I never outline text. It never, in my opinion, adds to it. It actually makes your text much more difficult to read because it's making it bolder, and it's not necessary. You've got the outline, like I'm going to not outline this area.
Yeah,
This is just as easy to read, just as clear as this is. It's almost unnecessary to have an outline with it if this is already easy to read. So, in general, you can not outline it. If I made it too dark, so obviously the black isn't showing up, or if I use the blue, that's kind of difficult to read because there's not enough contrast between the two. You could keep it in the light family, so even that shows up really, really well with what you're working with, and it stays within your color scheme.
And even that color that's in the rooftops on the.
Yeah, you can start picking up other colors as well. I don't want you to feel limited to just the 3 colors that you chose. And if you do want to pick up any other, let's see if I can get that right there. There we go. Start using that lighter color inside of there. Cool. Very, very easy. And that's just with the color. Of course, you can make things uppercase. You can change the font that you're using. Don't feel like you have to use any one particular thing. Do make sure your alignment is correct. If you're going to center it right from there. Okay? So that's the top of it. Top of it is the header. Final part down at the bottom is the it's going to be the other information, the body information for it. You've got a price, a little bit about it, some specs, include the picture and the map, and also his information. Remember we talked about proximity. So if I've got a picture of the guy and I've got a map of where it's at, maybe I need to keep his information close to him, right? And you can see I did that in the example that I gave you. There's his information and the information is close to it. Whereas if I did something where, like just placed him over here, and I shifted that down.
It makes him look like that he can do all this work inside the
Hey,
house.
there you go. Exactly. It looks like
He's got to
he's
sleep in the house.
yeah, he's the builder of it. Yeah. But I got it all in there. I did exactly what you told me to. Well, that's true, but the design of it has very poor proximity of information. If I was to put this information up here at the top, and I know you can't read it because of the color, but it's out of place because it's not with all of the other information. The proximity of one thing and the other is not appropriate. Now I'm really just messing that up for there. We'll go back. So for this one, of course, the first thing we need to do is to fill the body with a background color. I could keep it the same as I did at the top. I can make it a different color. It's your design. You can do whatever you want. So that actually looks quite handsome. Send that to the back. There's that. could pull in the blue, so now the blue is being used. Now it really pops out. I can make it a lighter background. All of that works really well together because we're using the same color scheme. I like the blue. Let's go for blue. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. I do have still 5 columns of information, so let's place some stuff in here. I've got the price and the body. So when I make a text box, I'm going to make sure everything stays within these 5 columns. And I'm going to purposefully do something wrong on here, and you tell me what doesn't look right about it. Let's make it bigger. I'll even make it white so it'll stand out. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe I want to make that a lot bigger, so we'll up the price of that, give it a different color. Ooh, that doesn't read very well. That'll work. Let's go into preview mode. So now I'm looking at this. What looks wrong about that?
The hyphen.
The not the hyphen. I'll even get rid of that. More than this, what the placement of what I have.
It's kind of running over.
Running over. On this side, you mean? Or on this side?
Well, it's kind of crammed up there, but it seems like it's going off. It should be even with that picture and maybe justified.
Okay. Tell you what, I will justify it. Oh, there we go. Of course, I'm losing some of my text.
It seems like it's still
Nudge it up.
Nudge it up. Okay. I'll even do this. What's wrong with that though? There's still something I don't like about it.
The letters are too close together.
Nope. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. Remember what I said about margins? Everything needs to have a little bit of breathing space, even within areas and boxes that you have. So having text right along the edge right here is a big no-no in design. You never want to do that. It's best to have a little bit of margin inside of the area that you have, even bringing this down. That looks a lot better. That reads a lot better because you've got a little bit of space in between it. I'm going to show you just kind of a quick, easy way of giving yourself some margin inside of a text box. So when I made my text box, I just pulled it straight from one column to the other column. What I want to do is I want to give it some inset margin stuff. So with it selected, I can go to Object, and where is it? Text Frame Options. There it is, Text Frame Options. And this is where the inset spacing comes in handy. Watch what happens as I increase this. There's the top, bottom, left, and right. I'll do left and right first. We'll turn on preview too. The left inset, oh, actually I got it checked off, so it's doing all of them at the same time. But do you see what's happening? It's almost like a little box inside of the box. But it's automatically giving me a little bit of margin inside of the text box that I have. And this is just a great, easy way of creating text boxes and making sure everything looks consistent with it. If I wanted the top and bottom to have a little more or less, I'm going to unlink that. Let's give a little more to the top. So now there's more space here than there is on the left, right, and bottom. Any questions on that one? So the text box is still the same. If I change the size of the text box, if I make it smaller, notice that it also keeps the inset exactly the same as well. So there's that particular type layout. So there's that. The last thing, let's put in some information for this one. So I'm going to copy that. Let's make a text box. Maybe this text box will run across 2 different things, or three different ones. Paste it in. Let's make it white. All right, so here's kind of another problem that I have. Let's make this a different font too. Oh, let's make it a sans serif font. Okay. So I've got all of this, and I want to place it underneath here. How can I create more room to place it on this side? What's an easy way of flowing my text? because I've got more stuff down here.
Um,
I'll make it black so we can see it.
columns.
Columns? Okay, perfect. How can I create 2 columns of text within a text box?
Well, I've had
You
trouble
could
with
just
that.
make another text box.
I want it in the same text box. If I made another one, then I had to keep up with both of them. How can I make 2 columns of text within one text box? You remember?
Mhm.
Oh, that there.
Right here. This button right here is the number of columns that you have. By default, it's 1. If I click on it, go do 2. Now I've got 2 columns of text inside of this this particular area, and you can adjust it so that it looks even on both sides as well. Make sense? If I made it 3 columns, this is what it would look like. 4 columns, 5 columns. Now it's just getting ridiculous. Let's keep it 2 columns from there. Let's see. So I've got that. I've got the bottom section. Use this area to fill it with the information. Make sure that your Mondrian style is still within, still being used with what you have. We also need to place in his picture and the map. So there's his picture. There's the map. Scale it down, and I can place this inside of here. Now mine's starting to look like my original example, but that's kind of the beauty. Didn't mean to rotate it. Kind of the beauty of the Mondrian style of layout. I'll go back to my original thing. I can move all of this around. If I don't like it here, I can easily swap these 2 areas out, and the layout still works because everything is nice and modular. If I wanted him to be up here and maybe change the size and placement of my text, as long as I can still read it, the layout still works. Now, of course, I want to keep everything within a consistent alignment, but that layout still sort of works with that. Maybe I can even make this a lot bigger and zoom in on that area. Come on. There it is for that. Make sense? So the Mondrian, very modular, very laid out. For this particular exercise, that's all I want you to do is lay out this information for this. For your project, I want you to use the same type of layout. You can change up everything. So when you take pictures of your product, you don't just need to have one picture to work from. Give it several different angles. I want you to get close up of your products, maybe like let's say you wanted to take a picture of your purse. So maybe there are certain features of a purse that you could use. What product, or did y'all think of anything?
I was just gonna use my Lipton tea.
Okay, so maybe you need to have a full Lipton tea instead of one that's but you can focus in on the logo, focus in on the cap, focus on different things. What product did you have? Or did you think of one?
I didn't really think of it.
Okay.
I put one on with me.
Yep.
'Cause I forgot about
You
it.
could do your backpack, you could do a purse, your watch, any little thing can be used. But take multiple pictures of it, and you can use those pictures within this layout. Then we'll find some information about it. So if you've got, especially if you've got Lipton iced tea, I bet you can go online and find the facts, stuff that's already on the bottle, and use those facts as well within this one. And you're going to make an advertisement that advertises that product using this modular style. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you and let y'all get started on this one.